Hello, I'm Zach Johns, and I'm presenting on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, in overview, I'm going to go over relational dialectics theory, the Lord of the Rings trilogy summary, kind of talk about what happens there, 4 cues of relational dialectics theory that will point us back to relational dialectics theory, or how it is found in Lord of the Rings trilogy. And those are recurring tension, certainty, uncertainty balance, openness, closeness balance, and this concept of praxis, which I will explain later. And then we will have a summary. Okay, so the idea, the relational dialectics theory, I've said that a million times already, is the idea that the pressure, disagreeing goals, and constant tension that occurs in relationships is able to keep relationships alive as the individuals navigate each other's behaviors, desires, and actions. The contradictions found in the relationship sustain it, and it's kind of similar to the idea of opposites attract. And this theory is founded on the ideal of compromise. So basically, an explanation of that is that when you disagree with someone in an interpersonal relationship, that disagreement and those differing goals that you both have are part of what keeps the relationship alive, and that's relational dialectics theory. Okay, so let's summarize Lord of the Rings. So it's this concept found in Middle Earth. So it's a story found in Middle Earth about some characters who are trying to save Middle Earth from a character, Sauron, who's this evil guy. So they have a ring, which is like this powerful ring that has Sauron's life force. And the main characters we're going to talk about are Frodo and Sam. They have this ring, and ideally, in the basis is they want to get that ring to Mordor, where Sauron is, which is the only place it can be destroyed. Okay, so first, Frodo and Sam go to Rivendell, and this is where there's a council of people from around Middle Earth. These are the good guys, decide what to do with the ring. So there they decide that Frodo and Sam, as well as a company of some of the best people from around Middle Earth, are going to accompany Frodo and Sam, and they're going to take the ring to Mordor where it can be destroyed. Okay, so this is the Fellowship. These are some of those characters, Boromir, Legolas, Aragorn, Gandalf, and Gimli. They are characters who are surrounding Frodo and protecting him on the journey, and this is them on part of their journey battling against a bunch of bad guys. Okay, so a lot of the relationship that we're going to focus on is Frodo and Sam, but Frodo and Sam interacting with Gollum and the pressures he puts on Frodo and Sam's interpersonal relationship. But Frodo and Sam, after the Fellowship gets broken apart, they're with Gollum, and they are completing the rest of the journey just with Gollum, and they're a lot closer to Mordor at that point. And then near the end, the ring ends up being destroyed. Gollum has tried to kill Frodo, and there were the Fellowship that broke apart. All those characters went, and they did a bunch of crazy things, fought in a bunch of battles, and were able to keep Sauron from taking over Middle Earth just long enough for Frodo to destroy the ring, which caused Sauron's destruction. Okay, so let's talk about these 4 cues of relational dialectics theory that I have chosen. These are like hints that we can pull out of the story that can prove that Frodo and Sam's relationship is a relationship exemplifying relational dialectics theory. Okay, so the cues I've chosen are recurring tensions, a balance between certainty and uncertainty, as well as a balance between openness and closeness between Frodo and Sam, and this concept of praxis. So praxis is basically the idea that in spite of, or when you have those differing goals, and you got the tensions between each other, as you do in relational dialectics theory, you're able to overcome those and effectively communicate and effectively accomplish something and be in that relationship without breaking down and be effectively in that relationship. That's the concept of praxis. Okay, so firstly, recurring tensions. Let's see where we find those in the movie. So Frodo's got this tension. He feels pressured by Sam because Sam wants to help him with the ring. The ring is this immense burden, and this pressure is because Frodo wants to hold on to the ring, and he wants to keep the ring because he's obsessing over it, because the ring is also kind of addictive. So that Frodo really wants to keep that, and Sam wanting to help him with that burden is causing a lot of tension on Frodo. And a lot of distrust towards Sam from Frodo. Gollum is also tanking Sam's trust, or Frodo's trust in Sam, by whispering to Frodo behind Sam's back about all the things that he thinks Sam wants to take the ring from Frodo, and Frodo feels this compassion for Gollum, so he's kind of starting to trust him a little more. In fact, Gollum kind of takes over the place as Sam's companion, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But these are recurring tensions throughout the second and third film. And then Sam feels this pressure to serve and care for Frodo, and that Frodo sends him away at one point, and that is something that is hard for him. Frodo sends him away, and he's really under a lot of pressure there because he wanted to protect and care for Frodo. Okay, and then we have this certainty, uncertainty. Frodo's not certain if he can trust Sam because the influence that his mind has fallen under the ring. So the ring has influence over him, and the manipulation by Gollum as well are eroding his trust in Sam. But he is certain that Sam has good intentions, so there's certainty and uncertainty. And then Sam does not know what Frodo will do and how he will act because the ring is making him become more brash, unreasonable, and violent sometimes, and making really unreasonable decisions because the ring is affecting his mind in the decision-making process. So Sam has very little certainty in Frodo, and that drops off and off, lower and lower until the end of the third movie. Okay, and then we have this openness-closeness balance. Frodo does open up to Sam a few times, but he keeps a lot of his struggles internal, and this is what leads him up to the decision to send Sam home at one point when they're right outside Mordor. And that's really hard for Sam because, remember, that's putting a lot of pressure and tension on him because he wants to protect Frodo. Sam, on the other hand, is very open with his struggles, but his openness is used against him. But the one who's really closed off and then opened up, at one point, he's, Frodo or Sam, I can't do this. I can't, take the ring to Mordor. And, he goes into a whole conversation with Sam about that. But then, on the other hand, half the time he doesn't communicate. So there's that balance there's that back and forth give and take. Okay, and then lastly, we have this concept of praxis. This is where we see the two individuals working together in spite of different goals, like I said before. So Frodo's goal, he wants to make him Mount Doom, and he has the secret goal that he's not even aware of keeping the ring. It's not his actual goal, but it's a subconscious desire. And Sam's goal is to protect and care for Frodo until the ring is gone because he wants to be happy with Frodo back in the Shire. They just want to be regular friends again, not on this violent, dangerous journey. So praxis doesn't occur until the very end, but it does occur when Frodo holds on to the ring, but welcomes Sam back after sending him away outside of Mordor. And because Sam came back to save him. And Sam helps Frodo to Mount Doom, which is going to accomplish that goal of getting the ring gone. And Frodo, as I showed you earlier, Sam even carries Frodo on his back. So the ring ends up being destroyed, kind of different because Gollum was involved in the ring's destruction. But the point is, Frodo and Sam working together to get the ring to Mordor in spite of all their differences, different goals, and different desires and the tensions between them. Okay. So in summary, this was relational dialectics theory because of those cues of relational dialectics theory that we found: recurring tension, certainty, uncertainty, openness, closeness, and praxis. And then we also summarized the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the four cues of relational dialectics theory. And using those, we were able to understand how Frodo and Sam are an exemplification of relational dialectics theory. Yeah. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? Awesome.